I don't know if y'all know, but last week the 2022 World Happiness Report was released. And with the exception of one nation, 9 out of 10 of the happiest nations on Earth are also the most secular. That top 10 list includes number one was Finland, followed by Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Sweden, Norway, Israel being the outlier, and then number 10, New Zealand. Um, and this was really interesting. There's a lot of various reasons why this could be the case. And if you want to check out the World Happiness Report, I greatly encourage you to, but it is 158 pages, so I regret to say that I haven't read it in its entirety, but it was very thorough. They looked at, economics and psychology, even biology and genetics, all of these various factors that contribute to this is something that is fairly subjective, but time and time again, it is these Nordic nations that seem to be the happiest. Um, I would love to hear all of your thoughts on why you think this might be the case. Because once again, like I said, there are so many different reasons that sort of go into this, but it is very
Yeah.
nice to see.
Kelley, what you think?
Um, I I have some misgivings about this because I don't know that there's a causation with this correlation, right?
Hmm.
I want to think that there is. I really, really want to. I want to. So I started looking for some data going back a couple of decades or more than a couple of decades ago, and unfortunately, I couldn't find any data that was collected on the subject farther back than 2012.
Hmm.
So again, I couldn't make this distinction if there was this causation to the correlation. I hope there is. I so hope there is. And the fact that we're collecting data now is we'll maybe be able to get an answer to that in 10 or 20 years. But if we can find that causation, it means two positive things. Number one, for us, it would be a great boost to atheism as a talking point. Hey, you become an atheist and be statistically happier than everyone else. I mean, how is that not a great recruitment slogan, right? And the other thing is we need to understand why these people are happier, right? Um, because if we could figure out what's making them happier, maybe we can start doing that everywhere to make everybody happier. And I think that would probably be more important than the talking point for atheists is to make everybody happier. I know where I live, people could really use that. They could really, really use that.
Yeah, and I think that was a good point that you brought up about, you know, um, there, there does seem to be a correlation, but this study definitely does not say that, hey, as a country becomes more secular, it is guaranteed to become, happier, and all of a sudden everybody is calm and having, peace and all that stuff. But I think it really does put a death nail in the coffin of that saying, a nation has to be religious or it just devolves into chaos. This clearly isn't true. All of these countries that are very, very high up there have lots and lots of things that, I mean, understandably so. Look, I can tell you guys right now, the potholes in my area are really rough. They are big, and you hit them going like 60 or 70 miles an hour on the highway, and it just ruins your whole day. Um, if we're putting more focus as a nation and as a government into the here and now, it isn't that gonna make our lives better? Isn't that gonna make us happier in the long run, in the whole country? Um, Teo, what did you think about all this?
I think that, well, as soon as I saw this article, my first thought was, oh, guys, can you believe that countries where people like the one we were just talking about are not there are less unhappier? Can you believe it? I think there are several reasons. Uh, Free choice, that is one of the biggest reasons, but the whole culture is different as they don't have all this ideological system. They don't have to fight against religion. They can focus on important things, as what you mentioned, secular. Over there, there is less corruption because people don't just believe, oh no, this guy is religious, he's going to do a good job and not still. No, they actually check that everything is working properly. So politicians, if they are criminals, they go to jail. Also, their jails are based on trying to make people people who are useful in society, not to punish people. A jail over there is more comfortable than my apartment, which I wish I could commit a crime over there, or maybe get a house. Yeah, that would be better, right? So those places, yeah, probably those places that actually worry about their people, that try to do things right, and that they are not thinking, oh no, there is a guy that is watching over us and we have to enforce religious laws over other people. They have a lot of things that they don't have to deal with, so they can focus on the important stuff: infrastructure, education, the ending corruption. And over there, you have to pay a lot of taxes, but those taxes actually work. You have free quotation mark education, free medical treatments, because you pay them with your taxes, and everybody does it. And yeah, it's not a real paradise, but it's very close to a wonderful place. And that's the reason why those nations are in the top 10 of the happiest places ever. I have spent my whole life trying to get there, and I will keep spending the rest of my life trying to get there, because those places seem to be awesome.
Now, Genevieve, I've heard some people say that the only reason that we have the type of safe and secure government, that the well protected and functioning nation, is because of religion in the past. I've heard people say that the only way that we settled down and had that great, explosion in the Renaissance and the Enlightenment was because of religion. What do you think about that? Do you think that's valid, or do you think there are some flaws with that?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that throughout the course of human history, religion has played a very important role, and I think it's really why religion exists and why there are religions across so many cultures. And that's because societies thrive when there is a shared mythology of some kind that you can all agree on. Um, a modern example is that, we believe that money has value. That's not something that's inherent. That's not a universal law. That is a shared mythology that we have to sort of keep everybody connected and keep society functioning. Religion was great at doing that. If you could all believe that you had the same origin story, that you all sort of, prayed together to the same God, and we was looking out for all of you, then yeah, that served a purpose. I don't know if I would go so far as to say that it had a huge role in the Renaissance, or if the Renaissance would not have happened, without the Catholic Church, for example. Um, but I think that my sort of guess about these secular nations is that they are united by a different shared mythology, or shared core value. And that is, hey, we should have a government that serves the people and makes sure that everybody is taken care of, and we should focus on their well being. I actually, a few years ago, I read a study, and in preparation for this episode, I tried my hardest to find it, and if I do, I'll put it in the comments eventually. But I learned that religious beliefs tend to decline in communities that have strong social safety nets and
Mhm.
stability. So even though I think we're right to say that, correlation does not mean causation, we can sort of directly see how all of these things are still intertwined. If you have a lot of stability, if you have strong social safety nets, if you're not worried about living paycheck to paycheck, or if you're going to go bankrupt paying for your cancer treatment, then you're probably not going to be in that foxhole that people say are no atheists.
Yeah. I think that was an absolutely wonderful bow tied up on the end of it.